This is alttabme.com coming to you live from alttabme.com/live for podcast number 15, where we talk about making you some money. So we have someone special here with us today. We decided that because everyone was sick or at work or otherwise indisposed, instead of skipping the podcast, we would bring someone special on that knew about the economy of Guild Wars 2. That guy is, literally, that one guy is Mike. Mike, say hello.
Hello.
So Mike is part of our guild at alttabme.com, Arcanix, and we've been playing with him for a while, and he has been kind enough to come on the show with us today to help you guys to further your investments and make some good money in Guild Wars 2. We can't guarantee that you will make money, but we can guarantee that you will at least be sufficiently confused or will understand the workings of the economy in Guild Wars 2 a little bit better. So with that, podcast number 15, how to make yourself some money. Times. Every Monday, 5:15, you can watch us live at alttabme.com/live, and then you can watch the replay of it at YouTube. Every Wednesday, we release it. If you'd like, you can go to the forums at alttabme.com and you can ask questions, you can post topics that you want to hear about, and we will take them into consideration for the next podcast. So with that, Mike, do you want to start us off with what we are going to be talking about today?
Yeah, sure. Okay. I have been around for a while, not in Arcanix, but in WoW, in Diablo, in a couple other games where there's actual economies in, and one of the things that I enjoy the most is actually making money easily so that I don't have to go out and do a whole bunch of things just to get to where I want to get or get the pieces of gear or get the nice shiny things that I want. So I got into... It started really in WoW. I got into trying to find ways to make money and not have to grind, not have to do whatever. And so what I'm going to do is try to give you tips and maybe a couple sweet things that you can try yourself in Guild Wars 2 to actually do that, where you can make some money, buy some stuff. You don't have to always go out and farm. You can always do that if you want. Just give you some other ways, especially if you're trying to get into a legendary or maybe some of that gear, because the legendaries are going to take a long time and a lot of money and
a lot
karma.
of resources.
Yeah.
They look awesome, too.
I figured out the one that I want is going to cost almost 400 gold and something like close to 1 million karma.
Oh my god.
And yeah, and that's because there's a lot of random stuff. They expect you, Guild Wars ArenaNet expects you to easily put in 6 months if you're not got like a whole guild behind you or a bunch of super awesome ways of making gold and making karma. And they really expect you to put a lot of time in because they want those legendaries to be something that someone's going to come by and be like, holy crap, how did you get that? That looks awesome.
And then you could tell them, haha, you can't have it. It'll take you forever.
It's one of those things that you're going to see. If you carry one around in Lion's Arch or whatever, you are going to get mobbed and whispers all the time, to the point where you're probably going to put it away, like when you had those first legendaries or special mounts in other games, when you just sat around and people were like, you're a hacks, how did you get that? So that's really what I expect to see people carrying, especially those great swords that have the amazing graphics on them where you can see through them to like night sky or day sky. I think it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, so first things first, let's get on to some general principles, some things that just you really need to know before you get going, because these are the type of things that will determine how you want to make your money, your gold, your karma, badges of honor, all that stuff. And it will also determine whether or not you are making a profit or actually wasting your time. The first thing that I want to talk about is something called opportunity costs. It's something that a lot of people don't pay attention to. Opportunity cost is, I don't know the official definition, but this is like a economics type principle that whatever you're doing to earn money, is it the most efficient way to do it? So if you're farming and you're picking up, for whatever reason, say you're farming for gear in ore, and you really want to get some yellows that you can wear, but you're getting all these blues and greens that are dropping, you're getting all these pieces of cloth, you're getting all these whatever extra things, and you think, oh, well, I'll use those to craft and it'll be free because I got those things to drop.
Oh, I always just throw them all away.
Right, or you throw them away. Everything you get has a value. Everything can either be sold to a vendor, or it can be sold on the trading post, or it could be crafted into something more that might be sold for more. And a lot of people think that, oh, just because I farmed up this crafting material, be it cloth or the fine materials like ancient bones or venom sacs, they think that stuff's free, and it's not really. It has a value. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're at least getting the minimum value out of that thing. So crafting is a prime example. A lot of people like to say, I farm that up so that material for the thing is free and I can sell my finished items. Say I'm making a pair of pants to wear or sell. If you're selling that pair of pants, or if you want to actually wear it for less than what the materials could have sold for, then you're missing out on the opportunity cost, because you could have sold those pieces of leather and that venom sac or whatever you use, you could have sold those for possibly more than the cost of the pair of pants, and then turned around and bought that pair of pants from somebody else who crafted it, and now you've got the pair of pants plus 20 silver. So that's kind of what opportunity cost is. You want to make sure that the items that you are using for whatever purpose are at least being used to greatest effect. So making gold, especially in Guild Wars 2, has a lot to do with saving gold, because it kind of leads into my next thing. The economy in this game is very balanced. It's very hard to make money off of people making mistakes, because we have a global trading post, and that's really the only way to get money from one player to another. There is no trade window. You can mail stuff to people, but you have to worry about, are they going to scam me? Do I know this guy? Do I trust him? Because basically, to trade between players, you have to send someone money, and then they send you whatever you're buying. Whereas in other games, you've got a trade window where you put your item in, he puts his gold in, and you can't finish the transaction until both of you click OK. So it's really hard for people to scam. Sorry, I'm getting a little dry there. So with no trade window, the only real way to trade any currency between people is the trading post. And so because of that, and because it's a global trading post and they've had over 2 million sales, you've got people on all the time keeping the basically the economy guys that are playing the trading posts honest. There's always going to be a free market in there. Whereas if you had just a server-wide trading post and you had a server that was lower population, you might have the first guy that gets his armor smithing all the way up to 400 and starts buying all the he bought a whole bunch of gems for real money, turned them into gold through the trading post. Now he's got enough money that he can buy those first materials that start filtering into the trading post, craft highest level 80 gear or weapons, and he can charge 15, 20 times what it costs to make him. Since we have a global economy, because if he was on a local server, he would do that and be like the only one who's doing it, so he could charge whatever he wants until someone else comes along and gets their armor smithing up to 400 or whatever he's doing. And that's what you see in most games. You see that there's all kinds of niche markets that nobody's into. You've got a corner on it, and you can make a profit margin of 300, 400, 1,000% over what your cost was to make it or pick it up.
Yeah, I think a lot of people coming
global...
from like other MMOs such as World of Warcraft and you know, even back to the days of EQ and Ultima Online where you sat there, you know, typing out, you know, having to sell, people still, I don't think, all know that each server is linked into this gigantic worldwide server. So it's not just your server, it's every person playing Guild Wars 2. And it definitely takes a big impact on how you can buy and sell. So it's much harder to say buy everything of one kind off of the market and then jack the price up on its own, because there's so many people that will put that up and try to undersell you.
Right. And that's completely true. When you've got a local server, it's easier to monopolize, or at least monopolize the top end, like you're saying, where you buy out everything at a certain price until you get to the price where you're at, and now the stockpile that you had purchased for half of your price point that it's at, you can put all your stuff up and they have to buy your stuff. Now with the global economy, you've got people will always want to be the first one sold. They will try to undercut you, usually by 1 copper, or sometimes people get in there and try to jack it down by a good amount just so that they can make a quick sale. And those are all legitimate strategies, but with so many people that are on there and accessing the trading post at any one time, you're not going to be able to do that and monopolize. You got to find other ways to do it. Now, there are markets, and if you're quick, you can kind of do that with the trading post the way it's set up. You can, if there's a gap between the sale price and the buy price, and we'll get into those, you can make it so that you can bring the price either up or down with your buy orders. Say you post a few, like 5 at one price, and then jack it down by a couple copper, and another 5, another 10, another 5. So you can artificially move the market a little bit, and especially if you've got a lot of gold to work with, you can do that with the buy side of things and move the prices up. But then you got to bank on the fact that it's going to stay at that price for long enough for you to get rid of your stockpile at the higher price, and hope that your stockpile sales make up for that. So it's very, very risky in this game to try to do it. It's doable, but not nearly on a large scale as it is in other games.
Well, it's like short selling in real life. If you short sell a stock in real life, you're taking a gamble no matter what you do. You know, you have a chance that somebody else is going to jump in there and it's going to fuck you up. Here, I'm gonna interject. I want to hear so other than the generic idea of the trading post and how it works, I think for most people, if they want that kind of information, I have a website up here. It's basically just the wiki. It's the Guild Wars 2 wiki. You can check that stuff out. You can see what's going on. You know, you can see how selling and buying works. It has a thing about fees, what it costs, you know, gem trading, trending stuff like that. Check it out there. But I want to get into more of some of the links that you posted and stuff like that about, you know, how to actually get into the market and how to start making a dent in your own wallet and showing and, you know, and starting to see a difference.
Okay. Well, let's start with, first of all, with farming. So the first thing most people are going to do is, whether they're intentionally farming or they're just leveling and getting stuff, they're going to start having a stockpile of some sort of items in their bags. And you got a couple things you can do with that. You can either salvage your items if they're salvageable. You can vendor the items for a vendor price, or you can sell it on the trading post. Now, what you want to do is you want to determine which is the best course of action for you. You always want to be carrying salvage kits, and you always want to be carrying your gathering items, your gathering tools, because all that stuff that you can get while you're going through your game will have a use for somebody.
Yeah, I'm showing them right now the node lists of farmable items,
Right.
such as lettuce, potatoes. These are all things that you gather in the game. So you always need to have those gathering tools in order to get them. And as you get to the higher level zones, you need to have higher level gathering tools in order to successfully gather these items.
Yes, and the gathering tools, the level of the gathering tool is limited to certain levels. So you can't go out as a level 2 and purchase a level 80 gathering tool. It's the mining pick, the wood axe, and the harvesting sickle,
Yeah,
I think it's called.
It's a sickle.
And each one of those lets you gather certain things. So obviously the wood axe, you chop down trees. The mining pick, you get ore. And these nodes that you're putting up are food items that you use for cooking, and a couple other things, like alchemy uses some of it. And that's what you use the gathering sickle for. And what you're showing here is farms, where normally when you're out in the world, you'll see one, maybe two gathering nodes close together or in an area. Well, ArenaNet put in these farms where, say, it's a lettuce farm, and I know there's one of them in the Queensdale area.
Shire of
the
Beetleton.
east. Yes, that's the one I'm thinking of. So that a farm will spawn every 23 hours for you. And you can go in there, and they will be, instead of having one or two, they'll be like 5 to 10 items of that one item. So for this lettuce farm, I think there's 8 nodes that you can grab all at the same time. And so you grab those, and if you're leveling cooking, great. You use them for your cooking. But if you're not, somebody else will want those. And what you'll want to do is you'll want to probably put those on the trading post. What ArenaNet did about a week and a half after the game launched was they noticed that people were selling stuff on the trading post for less than vendor price. So they put an actual floor on the trading post where you cannot sell something for less than less than vendor price. So at the very least, you can list an item on the trading post for whatever the vendor price is. So they fixed it that way, but there's a flaw there. The trading post, whenever you post something on the trading post, there is a 5% fee to list it. So if you list something and it never sells and you take it off the trading post, you've lost that 5% of whatever the cost you put it up to list for. So if you put it up for 1 gold, it costs you 5 silver to list it. And then you will never get that 5 silver back. Then on top of that, and you see that listing fee when you post it on the trading post.
Yeah, and I just pulled up the fees
that,
again as well, so that you can take a look at that while he's talking.
Right. When you sell something, on top of that 5% fee that you've already paid, there's now a 10% fee that comes out of the payment that you receive from the buyer. And that's not listed anywhere. They just figured this out by looking at, oh, I posted this for a gold, but I only got 90 silver back when it sold. And on top of that, I paid the 5 silver when I listed it. So a lot of people are having the flaw of, they will see that an item is at 1 copper above the vendor price, and they will still list it for that because they think, oh, I'm going to get vendor price for it. That's not true. You will always be losing more money than if you would have vendored it. So, yes, someone's asking in the chat if you lose 15% if you sell directly. You lose 15% every time you sell anything on the trading post. It doesn't matter how it sells. There's always the 5% fee to list it, and there's always the 10% fee when you have it sold. And if, say, you list it and then 3 million people come in and list the exact same thing underneath your price, and now all of a sudden yours isn't selling because there's a million cheaper ones on there, if you take it off, and you can rescind your sell order, that 5% is gone, and now the next time you list it, you've got another 5% gone. So be mindful that you're always going to be losing that 15%. And there's a really, really good calculator up. Tristan, there's a link called tpcalc.com that I put on there.
I'm showing my email. I'm clicking things wrong. Okay, we're good. My bad.
The world has gone crazy.
All right, I'm pulling it up. Yep.
There's tpcalc.com. There's a link. And what that does is it gives you spots where you can put in, say you want to buy, let's just say a glob of ectoplasm, and those are going for about 18 silver and change. So, okay, you're putting in, what, 130 something there?
Yeah.
Now, that's the buy price is the price that you're buying something at. So if you want to flip something, let's say you want to buy it cheap and you want to sell it high. Now, you put your buy price in, and that's what you bought the thing for, and now you put in a price that you're going to sell it for, and it will list your fees, your profits, and just right underneath the profit there of the 2 gold 997, it'll show your percentage of profit margin, how much you made percentage-wise on that small thing right there.
It's 0.5. Right now it's at 52.5% if you can't read it.
Yeah.
Because I'm a boss.
You made so much money on that imaginary made up number of gold.
Actually, hold on. We need to take a second, and we need to sell all of my butter, because apparently everyone in the guild thinks that I deserve butter. So I'm just going to pretend that there's a buy price right now of 20 gold. And I'm going to sell it all for 50 gold. Damn, guys, you guys made me 22 gold. Thanks. Keep sending me butter. All right.
Yeah. And...
oh, wait. I didn't even set the quantity. There we go. Stacks of... I have like 500 stacks. So hold on. Let me just... I probably have like 1,000 butters. Oh, look how much money I made. You guys made me rich. It's awesome.
You can buy Commander for everybody in the guild now. At 100 gold each.
Wow.
Yes. So this calculator, if you don't want to do the math yourself, bring that up. It will tell you right off the bat. You can just, if you're trying to buy something or you're trying to sell something, you can put just those numbers in, and it will tell you right off the bat if you're going to be losing money, if you're going to be making money. It's a great calculator. How you can do it if you don't want to use this, you can, this is going to get a little mathy here. You can translate everything into its copper worth. So where you see right on here that it says, put in something like, put 2 digits in every item. So like 10 or 15, 23, 73 or something like that. For 15 gold, 73 silver, and 23 copper or whatever.
Okay.
Okay, so that number right there that says cost, it says 1573.23, and it has the gold and the silver and the copper items in there, or the icons. If you take those icons out of there and make that number 157323, that is your copper cost. So I don't know if that's making sense, but if you just want to do it on a calculator and you're trying to figure out how to change gold and silver into copper, 15 gold, 73 silver, and 24 copper is, what is that? 15, Now I gotta actually do it where I can read it in my
math
head.
is hurting my brain. This is the
Yes.
point where Tristan goes back into time, remembers all the good old days of high school where he had to try to do math, and somehow managed to make it through all his years only doing algebra. Yay!
And you never needed it, did you?
Nope.
All those teachers were wrong.
No, algebra was such a waste of time. Like, I didn't take any of the good ones. I didn't take calculus. I didn't take any of that stuff. And now I'm like, I'm stupid. That's right.
You know what? And obviously math was my best subject. For me, it just clicked. It worked for me.
There's
Okay.
an app for that.
So, that's right. And who needs it now with all this stuff? There's an app right on the screen. It's the tpcalc.com.
Yeah.
But if you want to do it just with a calculator or whatever, so 15 gold, 73 silver, and 23 copper really comes out to 157,323. So all you got to do is take those icons out of there. If it's 23 copper, it's 23. If it's 1 silver 23, it's 123. If you don't get it, just use the calculator. If you get what I'm saying here,
I'm
type
showing
in
it to them
15s.
right now. That's what
Yeah.
it would look like without the icons in there.
Right. Now, to get your 15% fee removed from that, you multiply that number times 0.85. So basically, to get any percentage, cleaning up the lines, to get any percentage, you multiply any number times whatever percentage that is. So if you multiply,
Yeah, so I did it
100
by 0.85, and it gave me a total of 1337.24. So it took out, is what you're
Right.
saying is it took out what I would have, the fees and stuff like that.
correct. If you multiply whatever number you have times 0.85, it will take out your fees for you, and that will be the final amount of gold that you earned from that item. The number will actually look a little different in your finish tab, I forget what the name of it is, on the trading post when you get your money back, completed items tab. Because the 5% is taken out first, so you'll only see a 90% return, but this is the true number. If you multiply your number times 0.85, then you will be able to figure out what your total money back is after fees. So there's the math portion of the show. If you don't get it, if you don't know if the math is just too crazy, whatever, use this TP Calc. It's great. It makes it easy for you. All you got to do is, if you're doing multiple items, add up how much they were total and how much you're selling them for, and it will give you your fees. And it's showing right there too. It's showing your listing fee. It's showing your sell fee, and then it tells you your profit. So that's a great resource right there, and I'm sure Tristan's going to put all these links on the video on YouTube.
Yeah, every link that we're using, any application we're using today, it'll be listed with the podcast afterwards. So once again, for those that just tuned in, YouTube, it comes every Wednesday. We publish it after it's done. You can go to alttabme.com. It'll be on the front page, and blam, you can watch it all you want, as well as a list of links.
Okay, so no more brain sizzling math.
Okay.
That should be done.
Thank
Just
God.
make sure you know that you have listing fees and sales fees, so you're not selling things at 1 copper above vendor price. If you're selling it at 1 copper above vendor price, don't put it on the trading post. Either salvage it for materials or sell it to a vendor. Even if it's a green, even if it's a blue. I've vendored tons of blues and greens, even level 80 greens from ore when I'm farming, because it's not worth it. And there's an easy way to see how that works. I wish I could bring up the actual in-game trading post right now, because it would be real easy. But what you do is, when you have an item that you are going to sell on the trading post, either if you're standing at the trading post or if you're doing it out of your bags, hover over your item, and if you right-click on the item and there's an option to sell at trading post, click on that. And
I can pull up the game. I'll pull up the game.
Yes. Do you have any items or anything in your bags? Anything that's sellable?
Yeah, I can
right
sell
now?
something.
Okay, we don't need to sell it. I just kind of want to show them. Okay, while you're doing that, let's see what else. So, the trading post is a good way to do it. Let's talk about a little bit about salvaging, because salvaging is one of the options you want to use. The problem with salvaging right now is most of the stuff that you get out of salvaging is worth 1/10 of what the vendor price of that item is. A lot of times when you've got a blue or a green or even a yellow item, if you salvage it and you don't need the match, you just salvage it so you can sell the materials that it turns into, then you will get a lot less out of that item, so it's worth it more to vendor it.
I have some butter here that
look,
I can sell.
Okay, so hover over the butter, close the Black Lighting Trading Company there.
Okay, done.
And click on the sell at trading post.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do this anywhere in the world. That's the great thing about this trading post. The only thing you can't do in the middle of the world right now, unless you have a special item, is you can't get your money out of the completed tab. So you can see here that my screen's real small, I can't see, but you've got butter is now highlighted in sell your stuff, and you've got two options there. You can sell to the what is it?
Highest buyer.
Highest
or
buyer,
match lowest seller.
or match lowest seller. You always want to match lowest seller at the very least, because
although in this case it's
time,
not a very good example, because the lowest seller is 3 copper and the highest buyer is 2 copper.
yes, and a lot of times you'll get that. So if it's 1 copper difference, that's a judgment call. You can always
sell
it.
Shit.
But you know what? I would still choose the second option personally, because with butter, it's such a high volume option. You're gonna get that extra copper out of it, and with you've got what, 15 stacks of butter? Each stack of butter is 250, and if you get 1 more copper out of that, that's an extra 2 silver and 50 copper that you get out of each stack that you have. So, and 2.5 silver is not really anything to sneeze at in this game. It's not that bad of a deal. So,
well, now I have 12 butter, so we're good.
Okay, so what you do is you see that, what'd you say the numbers were, 3 and 4 or 2 and 3?
2 and 3.
Copper. Okay, so hover over the butter in your bag, or maybe even in the trading post. Just hover over it so you get the tooltip for butter.
Yep. And it's 1 copper if you sell it.
Right. It tells you your vendor price at the bottom left there at 1 copper. So being that low, you're not going to lose money, because the fees are so low, and they round, any decimal points are rounded in this game. So you're not going to lose money on it for the fee. But say it's a higher price ticket item that's worth 67 copper, and they're selling it for 68 copper. What you want to do is look on here, see what prices they're selling for, and hover over the item. If the price that the items are selling for is close, I'd say within 25% of the item's sale price.
Here's a great example. There's a bottle of rice wine here that I have. Right. It sells for 2 copper at the vendor. The highest buyer right now, there's 2 ordered by 1 buyer. It's 15 copper. And there's 205 of them listed by 2 sellers for 22 copper. So,
right,
if you wanted to quickly sell it and still make a profit, you could put it up for 21 copper undersell this guy by 1 copper, which is not you losing that much, and you'll probably sell it fast. You could also list it at 22, which is automatic, and you just hit sell. So, and that'll give you a profit of, I don't know, because of all the fees. and I need that damn calculator if I wanted to figure that one out. So,
or you could just do 22 times 0.85, which would be, hold on.
Or we could just do a real quick, test. So we'll sell it for the 15 copper that somebody wants to sell for here. So somebody wants one of these for 15 copper. We're going to take it and sell it to them. And let's see how much we make. So it immediately goes into your pickup box here. And I made 13 copper. So it took 2 copper away from me.
Right. Now,
I'm rich.
If you would have listed that for the 22 copper, after fees, it would have been 18.7 copper, which rounds up to 19 copper. So if you would have listed it and waited for it to sell at the 22 copper, then you would have pulled 19 copper out of the trading post instead of the 15. So there's the differences. The buy orders are someone undercutting and saying, I want to pick this up at this price that's lower than what everybody else is selling for, and hopefully someone just wants to get rid of it right now. And
which most people will. When you're buying stuff,
yes.
So like we're talking about selling stuff a lot right now, but also it's important when you're buying stuff in order to keep your money in there, always place an order versus buying it right away. I mean, unless you need it immediately, place an order. And here, I'm going to show you that real quick. So if I wanted, let's say, let's see, what do I want here? I want, I think I want some more butter. So I'm going to go.
Butter's really low on the list.
That's true. You know what? I want this dusk right here. I want this 140 gold dusk. Okay? So I'm gonna say, well, I don't want to pay 140 gold. So why don't I go and place and buy? Wait.
Yes, it's right there.
Buy instantly.
It's not. No. Don't.
No. Okay. So.
You know what? It's only.
That was different.
Right now, it's only because there's nobody has it on the auction house. You cannot buy it instantly, or the trading post. Is that true?
Yeah. No, there's one available. That was weird. I've never seen that. That was a weird.
Sometimes it comes up on the other screen.
That was awkward. Let's do something a little less. Let's do something a little less than this. So I want a glob of ectoplasm. So I go ahead and click the glob of ectoplasm, and then either I can buy it right now for 18 silver per each, or I can go ahead and place a custom order. The top custom order is 18 silver and 34 copper, which is actually not that much lower than the 1897. But if you start to add that up, so if I were to buy 20 of those, that would cost me 3 gold, 79 silver as is. With the, I'm sorry, yeah, 20 of those, 3 gold, 79 silver as is. But if I placed a custom order for 20 of those, and I placed it at 18 silver, I would save roughly 20 silver, which can add up, you know, if you're doing a lot of these buy orders. 20
silver is a decent amount, too. This game, because the economy is so good in it, and there's not that high of profit margins, like right here is a perfect example. You can't buy globs and turn them around and sell them right away and make a profit. After that 15% fee, you're going to lose money. And the other thing to remember is you don't have to put in that highest price or the price above it. If you think those top, 32?
It's only 32 on the top, so that you got to think that with that being global and all the people that want these things, those are going to disappear quickly.
Yeah, or within an hour.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to wait an hour, you can put the price that you want to buy them at even lower, and it'll drop it in there for you. And then if it gets down to your price, now you're getting it for even cheaper. So yes, you always want to do buy orders.
Let's show this. I'm going to show the stick of butter because I'm going to place a custom order at 2 copper.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to see if I get some. So I'm going to buy 10 of those, and I'm going to undersell it to 2 copper. I'm going to place my order, and then I'm just going to go right to my little bag here, and they should start showing up immediately, unless, of course, does it go in order by who placed them first?
Now here's the thing. This is different for Guild Wars than it is
Oh,
for almost every
no,
other
there it goes.
economy I've seen.
Look, I just made my 10. There's my 10 sticks of butter. Bam, instantly at the buy
Yes.
order I wanted.
Now, in other games, it's the first one in is the first one out. So if you're the first one to place that order for butter, it will take from the bottom of that stack, and it will fill those orders to the people that are at the first people that made those orders. For buy orders in Guild Wars 2, it does it the reverse way. Whoever made the last order is the first one to get filled. So there really is no reason to bump up the buy order price. There's no reason to add a copper to, say, the glob of ectoplasm that was selling for 18 silver and 50 whatever on buy orders. There's no reason to go to 1851, because if that item is selling quick enough that someone else isn't going to come behind you and place another order for that exact same amount, yours is going to get filled first, which is very, very weird. It's
Yeah, the
say you
priority
place
is
an order.
almost backwards, actually.
It is. It is for buy orders. For sell orders, it's first in, first out, like you would expect. So if you price the same as somebody else when you're selling something, then as long as someone doesn't place another order that's less than yours, you will eventually sell at that price, if that's the price that it stays at. But if you're buying, then you don't need to add more to the buy order. You don't need to jack the price up, because as you order, those orders get filled first. So it's best to match that buy order when you're buying. And if you need to get it right now, and it's a high volume item like butter or whatever, that you think 1 million people are going to be buying it, then is the only time you want to add a copper to the buy order. The sell order, it's a decent strategy to put your price 1 copper under if you think it's going to take a minute or two to, or 5 to 10 minutes to sell, because sometimes you'll get people coming in. You kind of got to deal with the market on the sell side of it, but on the buy side of it, there's really no reason to jack that price up, because that's just you losing money. It's weird that they do it that way. You would think they would do it first in, first out, because that way you know that you put it at a price. If it's selling at that price all day, you know eventually you'll get that item. This way, you may never get it as long as there's more people trying to buy in front of you. So it's kind of weird that way. But always, when you're selling, hover over your item, look at the vendor price, make sure that the sell price is not close to the vendor price.
Yeah,
I usually,
my opinion is if
Go ahead.
the buy price is, wow, I just got washed out. If the buy price is is even within a silver of the sell price off the vendor, I'm going to sell it to the vendor, just because I don't have to deal with any of the
Right.
15%, none of that, and I don't have to wait. I get it, and I know what I have.
right. And I don't go by a certain money amount. I just do for me, it's easy, easy little 25% calculation. So like a quarter of the price. Most people can do a quarter of the price in their head. If it's a silver, you know that a quarter of a silver is close to 25 copper. If it's somewhere in that range, 25 to 30%, that you can kind of in your head say, okay, that's at least above the 15% mark, I will list it on the trading post. And then if it ends up not selling, okay, I lost a 5% sale, and I'll just vendor it.
Yeah.
And I've done that plenty. I've had stuff sit on the trading post for a week, and I may have only made an extra 30 copper out of it if I actually sold it. But to me, every copper counts. Every little bit counts. So I'm always doing the sell orders. I'm never selling directly to the person with the buy order. So like that butter that you sold at 2 copper, I never sell it at the 2 copper. I always sell it at the 3 copper and let it sit there, because it doesn't have an expiration. It's going to sit there until it either sells or I decide it's cluttering up my interface and I want to vendor it. But yes, I just eyeball it and make sure that it's I'm at least knowing I'm going to get a profit. If I'm not sure, I'll vendor it.
Cool.
Or salvage it.
So moving on, So we've got your trading posts. We've kind of touched on gathering and stuff like that. What else can make you the big money?
Okay, so one of the things that you want to do is you want to salvage. Not only does it give you like materials that you can either use or sell, it also goes towards your daily and monthly and lifetime achievements. So if you care about those, you need to salvage all the time. And there's really only two salvage kits that you want to use. If you want to bring up the wiki, it'll tell you all the different salvage kits, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
But there's 5-6 types of salvage kits. First, you've got your crude salvage kit, which is a white named item, and that's the lowest probability of getting things back from it. You've got your lowest probability of getting higher quality materials. So like if you're salvaging a tier 1 item, and it usually gives you either scraps of jute or copper back, if you use a higher quality salvage kit, you've got a chance of getting the next tier up, which is wool or iron ore. And in the higher tiers, there's also a chance of getting those upgrade items back. So like if there's a sigil in it, you got a weapon with a good sigil and you want to get the sigil out of it, you want to use a higher tier salvage kit. There's crude, which is white. There's flying, which is blue. I forget what the name of the green one is. There's yellow is master. And then you've also got a yellow one called Mystic salvage kit. And then on the very highest tier, you've got a black line trading salvage kit. The black line trading salvage kit is only obtainable through those black line chests, but those will always, always, always give you your sigil or gem or whatever upgrade item is put in that upgrade slot. It's a 100% chance to get it back. If you've got something that you really want that sigil back, say you paid 2 gold for that superior sigil of the Rune of the Pirate because you want Magic Find.
No, you want the bird. Get it right, man. Jeez, you want the parrot.
You got to get all 6. You want the parrot that goes off and aggroes everything and tanks like a boss.
Man, why wouldn't you say the parrot first?
Oh,
you're dead to me.
You know what?
You're
my
dead
mind
to
always
me.
Goes to money.
Dead to me.
I got my mind on my money and my money on my mind.
Laid
I actually
back.
don't. I use the pirate, but I don't use that number 6 item. I'll put a Rune of the Traveler in to get that extra 10% magic find on it. But so after that black line trading one, which if you get them out of your chests, keep them until you have something that you really, really want that sigil back out of. You want to be using only 2 types, in my opinion. You've got the Mystic Salvage Kit, which you can only make by using the Mystic Forge, or you want to use the Crude Salvage Kit. Now, for any white salvageable item, any white named, there's a lot of items in the game that say salvage item. And what it is, it's like a scrap of cloth or a piece of, a scrap of ore or something like that. Use those crude salvage kits on those because they have the same chance of getting you extra ore or extra cloth as the higher priced items. Now, the Mystic Salvage Kit and the Master Salvage Kit are the exact same thing except for 2 differences. One, you can purchase the Master Salvage Kit from vendors for either karma or gold. And the Mystic Salvage Kit you can only get through the Mystic Forge. The other difference is the Master Salvage Kit stacks to 25, and the Mystic Salvage Kit that you get through the Mystic Forge stacks to 250. That will save up a whole bunch of bag space. If you're getting any yellow items from ore that are level 74 or above, those are the only things that drop globs of ectoplasm when you salvage them. That's the only way you can get globs of ectoplasm. So you want to use those Master or Mystic Salvage Kits for those high-level yellows if you're trying to farm for globs of ectoplasm.
Just to
reason you wanna
clarify,
use
you can
that-
actually buy all the salvage kits for Karma. Just there's certain
Yes.
vendors that will sell them, like part
Yes.
vendors and stuff like that will sell them for Karma.
Actually, any weaponsmith trainer will sell all of the gathering tools and all of the salvage kits for Karma. And if you want to actually save gold while getting the Mystic Salvage Kit, that's the way you want to buy them. Especially if you're not trying to save Karma for top-end exotic gear from like ore, or if you're trying to save your Karma for getting your legendary, which you will need a ton of. But if I did the math on it, and let me go through it real quick. To make a Mystic Salvage Kit, you need one stack of unused blue Mystic Salvage Kits, green Salvage Kits, and yellow Salvage Kits, plus 3 Mystic Forge Stones, which you buy from the gem store. You want to get it in a stack of 10 for 450 gems, because that's the cheaper way to do it in the long run. If you use 3 of the Mystic Forge Stones plus 1 stack of the blue, green, and yellow and salvage kits, you put them in the Mystic Forge, it will give you back a stack of 250 Mystic Salvage Kits, which is the exact same usage and chance of upgrades and chance of better items as the Master one that you get for Karma or Gold. It's just more of them. There's 250. You do that 3 times, you've used up your 10 gems, and at prices, so if you were buying the gems for gold and you didn't put any actual cash in the gem store, you just saved up your gold until you could buy the gems at 450 for 10. The math comes out to that each salvage on that kit costs you 16 copper. So if you bought a blue salvage kit and there's 25 uses on it, you bought it for the copper and not the Karma, it means that every time you salvage something, it would have cost you 12 copper to salvage that. If you buy the green one, it's 32 copper, and if you buy the Master one, which is the same chance as the Mystic one, it costs you 61 copper to salvage, just because that's what you paid for the kits in the first place. Compare that 61 copper to the gold price of all you paid for was gems to get the Mystic Salvage Kits, and they stack higher at 16 copper, so 61 versus 16 for the exact same result. You really want to use the Mystic Salvage Kits if you're going to be salvaging high-level stuff. And if you are trying to farm and not buy your globs of ectoplasm because you need those to craft epics, to make your legendary, to sell whatever, you want to use the Mystic Salvage Kits. It saves you 50 copper per salvage to do it that way, and that's if you're buying it for Karma.
Well,
If you're buying it for gold, it's you save about 5 to 6 copper per salvage.
and then you run into the issue where the computer just doesn't like you anymore, and
Nope,
it's all
you
like,
cut out on me.
I'm
What'd you
sorry,
say?
Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
It's Hal.
yeah. Sorry, I had to go there.
Yeah. So make the Mystic Salvage Kits. Use those for high-level yellows. Get the crude salvage kits for any white items that are salvage items, and because you don't get any better chance of getting higher level stuff than you do, or more stuff than you do on the other stuff. And in my opinion, there's only really 2 things that you want to salvage instead of vendor. It's the highest level stuff, and it's the lowest level stuff. So anything that gives you copper or jute, which is tier 1 materials, so anything that's really level 1 to 15, that's the stuff you want to salvage, because copper ore and jute cloth are going for around 15 to 20 copper on any given day. Anything in the middle tiers, tier 2 through 5, so iron ore, gold ore, mithril, wool, cotton, all that stuff. That's all going for less than 10 copper, and anything that you get, any blue items, green items that you get, will vendor for more than that 10 copper. And there's your opportunity cost. You want to vendor those because to salvage them for sale is not worth it. In fact, even if you're salvaging for items that you want to craft yourself, it's better to vendor it, get the more money out of it, and then buy two pieces of ore for the cost of what you would have gotten out of the salvage.
Well, when the game first came out, it was funny because people think that started the game that those tier 1 items aren't going to sell well because they weren't selling well because it was the beginning of the game and everybody had newbies. But now that people don't have as many alts and they're focusing on their mains and their higher level, you have a lot more need for those lower level items, especially when people want to master out their crafting. So the prices of tier 1 and the last tier, which is 6 or 7 or something.
Yeah, tier 6.
Tier 6, those are the ones that sell for the big money. So going back to like lower levels and killing stuff and salvaging that, you'll make a good, decent amount of money for that.
Yeah. And on a related note to that, you'll see that tier 1 wood is worth nothing. It's worth 6, 7 copper. And tier 1 ore and tier 1 cloth is worth 2x, 3x that amount. The reason being, there's wood wherever you are playing. Everybody that's playing and is carrying around an axe will come across trees to chop down. But the ore is only on the outside of the map or next to cliffs where you're not killing stuff and you're not traveling past it most of the time.
It's like
real life. They pass by those copper nodes. So there's a lot of supply of wood, but there's not a lot of supply of copper. That's why copper's actually selling for good amounts.
Although it's the opposite of real life too, because we can't get rid of those damn pennies, man. What the fuck?
I know.
A wasted pocket space.
But hey, it kept my state alive for a long time. Arizona was copper capital of the United States for a while.
Nice.
That's like.
I think we're the embroidery capital here. I don't know. It's weird. Which we would need jute for then, apparently. Ha ha ha.
Evidently. I think New York's the capital of rude people.
No, that's a misconception, sir. We are so sirens. Friendly, it's ridiculous. Sirens, I'll agree with. Sirens, I can't really deny. Sorry. Okay, back on topic. So.
Okay, back on topic. So that's salvage kits.
Okay, let's move on.
Using salvage kits.
Salvage kits. But so I think everybody, if you have any questions, by the way, feel free to Tig's on our forums. We're going to put a post up with the podcast. If you have any questions, if you're not sure about this stuff, I know personally, before he explained it to me, salvage kits were like, woo, still out there. I still have trouble grasping which one I should be using. And I often will find myself using the highest end salvaging kit on the lowest end shit just because it's in my bag. But if you have a better grasp on it, you'll feel better about using it and why you're using it. So feel free to go to alttabme.com when it posts, and you can ask some questions and follow-ups.
Yeah, and I'm all over the forums, too. I post a ton on there, so I'm always looking at it every day. I'd be more than happy to help people out.
Yeah, he needs fanboys, too, so...
Oh, yes. My ego is not big enough. Okay, so we've gone through selling and stuff on the trading post, salvage kits and gathering. Talked about that. One thing that is just important as selling is saving. There are bunches of ways to save your gold so that you can use it for what you want. In fact, Tristan put up a great post on the what you should choose between buying bags or buying bag slots.
Oh, yeah. Let me pull that up
is that in the general area where anybody at Alt-Tab.me can look at it? Or
yeah,
is
that's right. Form? No, that's right on the front page news, actually. If you scroll down to the bottom, it's still there. September 17th, it was posted, and I am pulling it up on the stream right now. So, actually, I'll show people. If you go to alttabme.com, this is the first page you'll see. If you scroll on down past the most recent news, you will see bags or bag slots. What we figured out here was that people, so if you look at this, in order to make any bag, you need a rune of holding. A rune of holding is required for anyone who's crafting a bag. So you've got your...
Except for the lowest level, which is only an 8 slot, and
right.
Nobody really cares about those.
And you get those for free with everything. So you've got your minor rune of holding, you've got your rune of holding. So I believe that 10 slot is minor rune of holding, 12 slot is rune of holding, 15 slot is major rune of holding, and 18 slot is greater rune of holding. And then
No, it's...
or am I... I'm going...
The top is 20. It goes 20, 18, 15, 10.
Right, so yeah, greater rune of holding is 18. So it's 2 gold for an 18 slot.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I jumped in too quick.
Jeez, man, messing with my flow.
I know. I told you I'm bad at that.
That's all right. So you've got your superior rune of holding then that is 10 gold. So it goes from 2 gold to 10 gold. That's a huge jump for 2 extra slots. Really? It's a money sink. That's what it is. It's a money sink. They're looking to sink your money. So there's a way around this. Right now, as the gem store sits, you can buy bag slots for your character. They're character only, not account bound. However, if you were to... So if you look at this picture right here, you'll see that there's a slot tab here with a lock. You can click that. It'll ask you to pay for it. It costs 400 gems off the Black Lion trading post. Now, what people don't always think about is that you can take your gold and you can transfer it into gems. So if we roll down here, you see that if I put in at the time, it's gone up a little bit since then, but not a lot still. I think it's only like 2 gold now. But I put in 1 gold, 35 silver, and that would give me 401 gems. So, what does that mean? That means that I can now unlock a bag slot, a whole nother bag slot, and I can put an 18 slot, 15 slot, 10 slot, 8 slot, whatever. Any bag I want into there. Let's just say I put an 18 slot in there. So 1 gold, 35 silver for 400 gems, plus the 2 gold for the greater rune of holding for an 18 slot bag. That's 3 gold, 35 silver. That is already 6 gold and 55 silver less than a 20 slot bag would have cost you for the extra 2 slots. And I just got, instead of 2 slots, 18 slots. So right now, it is more profitable for yourself to buy gems off the Black Lion trading post, convert those gems into buying a bag slot, and then buy an 18 slot bag versus a 20 slot bag. Right now, it's just not worth it to spend 10 gold on a 20 slot bag. It's not. And if you're a crafter and you're making these, I think so. I don't think it's ever going to be worth it. And if you're a crafter and you're making these and you're expecting to make a profit, good luck. Everyone can make them, and no one is going to pay more than the 15% hit you're going to get on the auction house for putting it up. So it's not worth it to sell them, and it's not worth it to buy them, unless you absolutely need those 2 extra slots, which I think is ridiculous. I think you could easily buy more bag slots on an account for much less money. So if you want to see that again, it's on alttabme.com. You go to the front page, scroll down. It's called Bags or Bag Slots, and it'll show you how to do that.
Yeah. In fact, you could even buy more character slots and add bag slots to them as kind of a bank alt for less than what you will ever need for storage space.
Yes.
Unless you're some super high-level economy guy that's trying to corner a market and has 600 stacks of one item and hoping that the price will go up or whatever. And there are people out there. There's another podcast, which I won't name, that has economy stuff in it. And there he pulls all the gold from his guild and plays with the economy pretty solidly. And he's talked about making 300, 400 gold in a weekend by doing something like that. But for the average person, you're never going to need more than 15 or 18 slots. I personally use 18 slots, but that's because I like having a lot of room and not having to go back or empty my bags until I'm ready to do it all at once. And I craft them myself. Not that my items are free, like I said at the top of the podcast, but it's easier for me to go pick them up and do it myself. So I like 18 slots personally.
I mean, if you wanted to really maximize your potential, you put a 15 slot bag into the purchase thing into the bag slot you just purchased, and you'll be good to go. I mean, you could buy. I don't know what the limit is on buying bag slots for a character. I don't know how many you can buy.
I'm not sure either, but I know someone bought at least 4. So I mean, really, you're going to need another 50 slots for everyday use.
Which that would only cost you. That would only cost you what? 2 gold total per bag slot plus bag if you did 15 slots.
Right.
So if you got 4 more bag slots with 15 slot bags in it, that would be 8 gold. You still wouldn't be at the 10 gold it costs you for one 20 slot bag.
Right. And so that's what, 45, and then minus the 2 you would have got with the 20. So 43 extra slots for the same price as 2 slots if you buy a 20 slot bag.
Yeah. I mean, you can also, if you're really looking to maximize your space, the best use of gems, in my opinion, and Tig, you can disagree with me on this one if you don't like it, but I believe buying bank slots with gems is the most useful way to use your gems, because you get an entire other tab, which is something like 30 slots. So you get 30 slots for nothing, and it's account bound, so all of your characters can use it, so it's very useful. So I find that buying bank slots itself is very useful. But if you're one of those guys that's running around and farming for hours and hours and hours, you're going to want bank spots, because you don't want to go to the bank, come back, and then you're wasting money on teleportation and all this other shit.
Yeah, I actually like them both for different uses. I've picked up 1 extra bank slot so far because I just hate spending money. I like saving it and seeing it in my little tab so I can turn around and make more money. It's kind of a horrible obsession.
I think there's a lot of things right now in the game itself that, for instance, that Rune of Holding, the Superior Rune of Holding, 10 gold for something like that is a little bit weird. Like, I think ArenaNet might take a look at it and they might tweak it to make it really worth your while, because right now nobody really wants it. There's no reason to make that jump. The game's only been out for a month, so maybe when the end game is here and we're really bored and we have tons and tons of gold and nothing to do with it, we'll be like, 10 gold, that's nothing. But right now it's pretty rough.
10 gold is a lot to have on one person if you're not really trying to stockpile. And they may or they may not. They seem to be okay with some pretty huge money sinks. Oh, and someone in the chat was saying 8 bag slots is the max. So
okay.
So there you go. You can have up to 8, but even with 15 slots, that's a lot of slots.
So anyway, let's move back to making money. So now you know how to hold all your money once you have it. But let's go back to making the money.
Okay, so we were on ways to save money. I touched on this a little bit earlier, but there's a lot of stuff that you could buy with karma that you can also buy with gold. So cooking is a great example. There's a lot of vendors in the world that sell a lot of your materials for cooking.
Sorry about the motorcycle.
So you can, so you can level your cooking. There's also vendors in different areas that sell some of your other crafting materials. It's not as easy to find. It's really easier to find your crafting materials through killing and stuff. But gear, you can definitely buy a lot of gear through karma. And if you don't want to get the crafted gear, you can, and you're not trying to save karma for whatever reason. Me personally, I'm trying to save all my karma for my legendary, because that's the first major thing I want to get. But there's, I think you're pulling up some crafting guides, and
except the site, unfortunately, this site is down right now. They said,
so
this was one of the ones we used, but it seems to be down right now.
Yeah, which one is it? The
Guild Wars 2 crafting.
The all-one how-to crafting guide. Is that one the Gaiosh one?
Let me
up?
see.
That one's amazing.
That was the power leveling.
for...
That was the power leveling one.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's the most efficient, cheapest way to. No, I think the one above that.
There we go.
The all-in-one crafting guide. Yeah, that's the super huge one that will tell you anything you need to know about crafting, any discipline. It's amazing, and we'll have the link for it in the YouTube, and we'll probably put it on the front page where the podcast is being announced at alltabme.com.
Yeah, once the podcast is pushed on Wednesday, you'll be able to go to the website and check out all these links.
Yeah, and that guide tells you the generals of all the crafting. It also tells you a lot of places where to get it. It even has maps at the bottom of farming routes for some of the areas. So if you want to know where to go for copper ore, or maybe where to go for, getting some of your fine crafting materials, that will have a lot of it. This will help you determine what crafting disciplines you want, and so that's a great site. Even people that know a lot about crafting, like I did before the game came out and through beta, can get a lot out of that crafting site. So that one's amazing. There's also going to be a link to spots where you can farm the highest level ore and wood, which are selling for a lot right now. The orichalcum and ancient wood logs are selling for a ton. I think they're like 1.5 silver each. There's going to be a link to the map for the Cursed Shore, which is the highest level area. We'll have that up. But so going back to using karma, you can use karma to get a lot of stuff, especially that cooking stuff. You can find karma vendors that will sell you packages of peppercorns or packages of whatever that you can use for leveling your cooking, and that way you can save some gold that way. Like I said earlier, using the Mystic salvage kits. Also, the Mystic Forge. In
good
fact,
timing.
There's a picture of it right there. Yeah, the Mystic Forge is a good way to get some higher level items for yourself. It's a huge gamble. To use the Mystic Forge, you have to put 3 items of the same rarity and the same kind of type. So like 3 weapons that are rare, or 3 weapons that are exotic, or 3 of the same type of weapons or type of items with the same rarity. I'm sorry, 4 of the same items. I'm saying 3.
You still have a chance to get something different too.
It will give you something back that is the same or better item level, which means it's the same or better quality, and a chance at a higher rarity. So like if you put 4 blue weapons in, you'll get another weapon back. For those 4, you'll get 1 back. So it's a gamble, because you never know if you're going to get something that's worth 4 times the amount of those items. But it's very possible to do that, and it might come back. Say you put 4 blues in, you might get a green back. You put 4 yellows in, you might get an exotic back. And one of the best ways to get your high-level exotics is putting level 75 and above, and a lot of people are saying only use 80s, level yellow or rare items, be it armor or weapons. A lot of people are using, say you want that greatsword, Twilight or Dusk. To get the precursor item for it, what people are doing is they're putting in level 80 rare greatswords, and you put 4 of them in, and you will get another greatsword out. And there's a chance that greatsword, instead of being a rare, will be an epic, and it could be just a regular epic that is still a better greatsword, or it could be the precursor epic that you use it's still a good greatsword, but you use it in the crafting of the legendary, and you're going to need those if you're going to craft a legendary. Now, the other trick with the Mystic Forge is, if you want a greatsword and you want to make sure you get a greatsword instead of a random weapon, you got to use 4 greatswords. Because if you use 2 greatswords, a dagger, and a bow, as long as it's the same rarity, you'll get a random weapon out that is at least as good as what you put in, usually. It doesn't mean you can use it. It might be something that your class or profession can't use. So there's that with the weapons and the armor. The other thing you can do with the Mystic Forge is you can take a crafting material like ore or jute, cloth or something, and you can put in, I'm not sure exact on the amounts, but you put in a large amount of the lower level crafting material. Say you got copper and you want iron because you've crafted through, you can't use copper anymore to level your weaponsmithing, and now you're on to iron, and you need iron and you've got a lot of copper. So you put the ore and a lot of the lower tier ore, one or of the higher tier ore, so it knows what you're aiming at, and a dust, and I think mystic coins. I'm not positive on it. I don't use it myself very much, but there's a way. What it'll do is it will spit back out a lesser amount of the higher tier of the ore. So you will turn your copper ore into iron ore, or your gold into mithril, or whatever. And I
have up on the screen right now. I have the wiki up on the Mystic Forge, and it tells you a lot of the stuff of what you can put in there and what it has a tendency to yield, because it is random, but it does have a tendency to yield certain things.
And that wiki is a great place if you need any recipes for that. It's being updated daily as people are finding this stuff out, even with all those. Hold on one second. Oh, and I hung up on her. Great.
Oh,
so the girlfriend's going to be mad at me. Yeah. So go to the wiki if you need recipes. You can make whole batches of food with that. You can make full armor sets, which is good, so that you don't have to craft each one by itself. You can get the recipe for those. You can get higher level stuff and upgrades. It's a gamble. Another thing that people like to do is mini pets. If you collect mini pets or dies, you could put 4 mini pets or 4 dies in there and have a chance of getting a higher quality die. Like you put 4 blues, you might get a green mini pet, or 4 greens, you might get a yellow mini pet. That way, if you've got a lot of them, if you're trying to collect every single one of them and you don't want to pay that 5-10 gold of whatever that exact one that you need is, you can try to gamble and put it on the Mystic Forge. It is a very high gamble. I've done nothing but lose money on it. I've tried to pull out some epics. I spent 20 gold on rare short bows, put them in the Mystic Forge. I ended up losing 5 gold on the deal, I think, because I only got a couple epics that were worth selling. Everything else, the money wasn't worth it, so I put it back in the Mystic Forge. And I end up losing money on the deal, but there are people that are getting, if you get lucky and get one of those precursors, you can turn, 5 gold if you get it on your first try into 100. But
yeah, so
it's one of those things. It's a huge
in summary, the Mystic Forge is basically, if you like gambling with your money, you can have really high rewards. If you don't like gambling with your money, might not be the place to go. So
yeah,
with that said,
definite.
What's our next money making thing here?
Okay, so let's talk about crafting. A lot of people in a lot of games, crafting always has niches that you can get into that will make you steady money for a long time. I know in WoW, I was one of the first jewel crafters. In fact, I was the first jewel crafter on my server to have every recipe when it first came out, and I made tons and tons of money. because I was the first one to have that stuff, and then I also had everything, and a lot of people didn't go after the rare ones. What I've always said with crafting is, the harder it is for you to get and make that item, the more money you're going to make off it. Now, in Guild Wars 2, there isn't very many rare recipes. Almost everything in your crafting window you can discover on your own by learning how to craft it. And yes, you have to discover it, but there's recipes on the wikis. There's the databases like GW2DB.com has every known recipe, and almost everything, I'd say 95% of what you can craft is just done through the crafting window. You don't have to go find a rare recipe that you can only get in one place, except for about 5% of the recipes. Now, all that stuff that you discover, everybody can discover it. And since it's a global economy, everybody has, or enough people have, that there are no hidden niches for the most part. Any niches
There was
you
in the
find on
beginning.
trading post. There was in the beginning, and there always is at the start. So it's always the first person to get there is going to make the most money. Yeah. And
That's
the
where I
first
made all my
person
money.
to-
I made like 30 gold
Yeah.
in one day. It was awesome. I was
Yep.
selling the low-level cockroach wings, and everybody loved them.
Yeah. And the trading post being down that first week just destroyed the hopes of so many economists like me because they couldn't get on. And then when they started bringing it back at 5%, 15%, 25% of the population got it, I never got in it. I did not once get in early, and I was so mad. I had so much stuff that I wanted to put up early. I got on for half an hour the second day and made like 30 silver when everybody else in the guild had like 2 silver.
So
and
what?
I was so stoked and I was ready.
What I'd like to,
Yep.
I kind of want to shift our thing here a little bit. I want to talk about, you have a lot of sites listed here that talk about pricing sites, how it shows you the current economy, stuff
Oh, yeah.
like gold making blogs and sites that are helpful. I want you to walk me through those real quick, just so everybody can see it, and then I'd like to take some questions from the stream. And then I'd like to wrap this one up because we're pushing our 2-hour mark here, and I just want to make sure that everybody gets their feeling. And just so everybody knows, you can go on the forums. We're going to post a topic with the podcast and all that stuff. So any questions you have that we haven't covered, feel free to ask. And if there's enough interest, we'll do part 2 of making money, and we'll help you guys out. So feel free to at any point interject on the forums and ask us for more information. So if there's enough interest, then we will definitely run a number 2 of this one. So why don't you walk me through some of these sites, and I'll show it to these guys.
Okay, so one of the topics that I didn't really touch on yet was one of the ways to make a good amount of money is be one of the first ones or find the new thing early. And one of the ways to do that is go to these gold making blog sites that I have listed. There's a bunch of them out there. These are just my 3 favorites because they're usually updated daily, especially the one GuildWars2TradingPost.com. If you know anything about the gold making in WoW or Diablo 3, this is the same guy. His name's Marco. He has been making gold making blogs for video games for years. He is the one who I think it's now justmy2copper.com was his big web site in WoW, and he ended up selling that blogging site when he quit WoW for $50,000 of real money because he had such a big following and so many people got ideas from him. But it's this one is GuildWars2TradingPost.com. And what he does is he usually goes on there every day with some sort of blog. He's done a lot of farming spots for the rare materials, which right now farming for rare materials like the blue quality bone chips and venom sacks and scales and stuff like that are selling pretty good. You usually get anywhere between half a silver to 2 silver per item that you get, so it's worthwhile for your time to farm that sort of thing. And then he also puts up items that he's found that you can flip on the auction house, where you can buy it for low and you can sell it for, he says, buy low, sell normal, and instead of buy low, sell high. So he's a really good one. The GuildWars2Riches.com has been putting out good content and stuff that, if you check it every day, it'll give you good ideas of what they're doing, because they both give you specific items. And the third one there, GW2GoldGuide.net, those all give you specific ideas of specific items that you can sell or that have been making them money. Now, what happens is, as soon as they post that, 100 people see it in the first 15, 20 minutes and go on and buy all the stuff and inflate the prices, and then the profit margin is gone. But what I've noticed is, you give it a week, you give it 2 weeks, and now the prices have gone down again, and that market that he's talked about is open. And the other thing is, it will give you an idea of how to use that strategy on a related but slightly different market. So if he says, one of the things that was making me money this last week was buying loot bags and opening them and then selling everything. So like a moldy bag, there's different levels of moldy bags, or tiny loot bags, or things like that. And these guys posted about the loot bags, like, yeah, the bag strategy right there. So my market bottomed out this weekend. I was making 10 to 20 silver per stack of bags that I was buying, opening them up and selling them. I was buying them at the buyout price. I wasn't even buying them for buy orders. If you bought them for buy orders, you made more, but I wasn't waiting. I was just trying to flip them as fast as I could. Opening them, selling all the stuff at sell orders, because I was just matching the lowest price. And I was making 10 to 20 silver per stack of bags. So that's 250 bags. I would spend a gold, make 10 silver, spend a gold. And it was selling as fast as I could put it up. It was just, for 4 hours, when I was at work playing the auction house in between doing my work, I would just do this, and I was constantly, every 5-10 minutes, I'd make 10, 20 silver. Now, this bag flipping process has been told, it's been documented by a few gold sites and gold blogs, and now this weekend it tanks, so you can't even buy it for buy orders low enough that the items you get out of it make you money. But it will come back probably, because what's happening is everybody gets these bags and they're like, I don't want to mess with it. I know what's in it. I don't need any of this stuff. We're gonna put it on there and just put it on the trading post, and whatever it sells for, I'm fine with that. So give it a week or two. The thing with these is you have to test it out. You have to try it in small amounts and see if the price that you're getting your bags for is less than what you're going to sell the items for. And
do a small trial and then make the big effort.
Right. And once you find one, like crazy me, I made a spreadsheet, so I actually see the exact profit numbers with the 15% taken out, and I usually test in a stack of 250, because a lot of these are going for 20 to 80 copper per bag. So a stack of 250 costs anywhere between a gold and 2 gold. So these blog sites are great ways to get ideas of where to go, and if you can get on right when the news breaks, then you can get in at the beginning of the bubble and then sell to the people that are jumping on in 2 hours later that day, and flip through there. Another thing you want to check out is the news sites.
I like that theory. I like that way. I like the idea of jumping in and then reversing it on the people that think they're getting their hands in, and you're actually just rocking their world. That's good stuff.
Exactly. So another way to do that is you go to the news sites, guildwars2.com/en/news. These are the links at the bottom of that post. Reddit.com/r/guildwars2 and guildwars2guru.com. Those are all great spots to get your news from. One of the things that came up last week, 2 weeks ago, was the whole thing with the butter for you. If people were sending you this butter 2 weeks ago, you would have made a killing because Guild Wars 2, the ArenaNet decided we don't like the fact that people are stockpiling all these items, butter, iron ore, wood logs, because they're only worth vendor price and they're just sitting on them. We want to clean up the economy. We're going to make an item that you can turn these things into this item and then you get something else out of it. So, and we're going to make it a temporary item. Me in my head, I hear that and I say, ooh, butter's at 2 copper. I'm going to go buy 750 stacks of butter at 2 copper, wait for 4 hours, and then sell it back to all the people that are trying to make this shiny new item at 6 copper. And there are people that did that. There are people that saw these patch notes, and by the time I got on to Reddit and saw it, they were posting screenshots of banks and bag tabs full of items. And they turned around and bought it at 2 copper, sold it at 12 copper. 10 copper per each item. That's 25 silver per stack. They had, 20, 30 stacks. So they made instant like 15, 20 gold just because people saw, ooh, shiny, new, and these guys bought the stuff as soon as the news came out and sold it to the people that thought it was nice and shiny. Now, the website you're looking at right now is Guild Wars Trade. This is a great website because it takes the parses of the trading post and tells you what the sell order, the buy order, and the supply and demand of the item is. So if it's that top item, copper ore, is done by supply, it's listed by supply right now, that's a high moving item. If you can even make 1 copper profit per ore on that, which you can check by doing your 15% auction fees, and if it shows that you're going to make a copper on it, you can buy those all day long and sell them all day long with confidence that it's going to sell quickly, and just buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. And it's small increments, but it's high volume. And if you make a copper each, that's 2 silver 50 every time you do it, and you will sell them faster than you can buy them. So there are markets like that. I was doing that with wood logs, not softwood logs, but green wood logs and ancient wood logs were working great for me. That I was buying the logs, I was buying 3 of them, or in multiples of 3, because you take 3 logs and turn them into planks. The planks were selling for 3 to 8 copper more per plank than the cost of 3 logs, and they were selling high volume because they would just keep selling. So I would get stacks of logs, turn them into planks, turn around, sell the planks, and every copper counts, especially when you're doing high volume. So look at the news sites. Reddit.com is great. Look at on Reddit.com for the Guild Wars. You want to look at the new tab and you want to look at the top tab, because you'll get patch notes. And patch notes are always a great place to look for finding deals, because if something changes, if you've got an engineer that has a high crit build because he wants a lot of crits, which gives him a lot of bleeds, and he's got one talent that just makes that build overpowered, and then all of a sudden the patch notes come out and say, oh, we don't like that engineers are making so many bleeds with this one talent. We're going to make this talent give you stability instead. Now, that engineer doesn't want that build anymore. He wants a build that's different because he's not killing people with bleeds. So now all of a sudden he's going to need new gear. If you saw that he's moving away from or towards one type of stat, now you can craft items, or you can pick up items that he's going to want to buy, and you're going to want to sell those. So get your news. Let's look at, we've already looked at some of the pricing sites. You've looked at the GuildWarsTrade.com and the TPCalc. Let's look at that GW2 Spidey real quick. This one is great. There's a little bit of a flaw with this, but this will help you see market trends. How the GW2 Spidey and the what's the other one? The Guild Wars Trade site works is the trading post is built on a web server. Some smart people figured out the address of that web server, and they connected to that web server, and they can actually pull live prices from the live auction house trading post, and they built a website that reads those every 15 minutes, every however long, and that's a perfect graph right there. To leave that one up for a minute, I'll explain something on it. They pull those prices. Those are actual prices from the trading post. Now, GW2 Spidey averages those prices, so the price that you see when you hover over something is not going to be the exact price on the trading post, like the lowest buy order or the lowest sell order or highest sell order, but it's going to give you an average. Now, if you look, you see that big mountain, that spike. That's because it was the weekend. A lot of times what you want to do is you want to buy on the weekdays and sell on the weekends, because on the weekends you got more people and they're trying to get everything done, so they're more apt to buy the items that they want instead of go farm them. So if you've only got 4 hours to play, you don't want to spend 4 hours farming so you can make 3 things and get 10 points on your crafting. But you will buy them if you have that money. So there's another tip. Try to buy during the week and sell during the weekend. But GW2 Spidey will give you a great idea of if an item is declining or it's going up. Do a search for bone on GW2 Spidey. And bone is a rare crafting material. It's
ancient bone, bone chip, bone shard. What do we want?
Just do bone. Click on any of them. I think they're all basically declining right now. I was looking at it earlier.
Yep.
So you know that when you're selling on these, if they're declining, if they're going down, you want to sell as quick as possible. But if it looks like they're on the rise, make that price higher. Don't sell it for just the lowest price. You know people are buying it because the prices are going up. If people are buying it, they will buy out the lowest buy orders eventually, and you will get that much more on it. So this is a great tool. The GW2 Spidey is a great tool for you to go through and see where things are. And those 2 lines, the bottom line is the buy orders. So someone says, I want to buy this item someone's listing it at 4 gold, I want to buy it at 2 gold. So that's what that lower thing is. That's where, if you want to sell it instantly, you're selling to the people on that bottom line. If you want to wait and sell it for the highest amount, that's that blue line on the top. And this website also helps you in the fact that if you see something where there's a large gap, you can say, okay, I might be able to flip that. I might be able to put in a buy order for cheap enough that when I sell it at that sell order, I'm going to make that 15% fee back. And this GW2 guy, is doing updates to this thing all the time. He's doing amazing work on this GW2 Spidey. He's going to implement crafting profits soon. He's working on it. So pretty soon you're going to be able to say, okay, I have armor smithing. What can I make by buying the items off the auction, the trading post, and then selling the crafted item and still make a profit? And you're going to be able to find that out on this website. So keep an eye on that GW2 Spidey. That's an amazing one. Cool. Go to the GW2cartographers.com. That's one thing, and then I got one more section I want to explain on the things, and then we're done with those. The cartographers.com is my favorite map site. This will tell you everything except for gathering nodes like ore and wood and iron and food. It tells you spots where to pick up your pets. It tells you where all the renowned hearts are. It tells you where jumping puzzles are, where vistas are, where farming spots for rare materials are. This is a great all-around map site. Excuse me. And, you know, you can zoom in. Whenever I can't find that last point of interest or that last vista, I go on here and I zoom in and I go back and forth between my map and I say, okay, there should be a heart here and I'm missing it. If you go to the top, there's things that are lined out like categories. You can toggle those items on and off. So if you don't care about the hearts, you can toggle the hearts. There's the tabs across the top there. And you can turn all of that on or off as you want. And what this helps is if you want to go farm, if you say, okay, ancient bones are selling for a lot right now. I want to go farm. Where can I go find some mobs to farm? You go click that and turn it on, and you'll find it on the map. It will give you icons. You're looking for your last ranger pet that you can't find. Those are on there. Vistas. It doesn't help you find how to get to the vista, but it tells you the general area the vista's in. And if you're looking for that last point of interest so you can complete your map and get your rewards for your map and get out of that area and go do something else, this website is great. And the last section of links I want to talk about is the databases. You've already been to the wiki a lot. GW2DB.com and Guildhead.com are the databases that you want to do. GW2DB.com right now is better. It's the built on the Guild Wars Guru site, and it has more info on it right now. Guildhead, if you know WoW or League of Legends, the Wowhead people made that site amazingly. They set it up. A lot of people used it. You had all kinds of comments on where to get stuff, and there was maps and everything. And the Guildhead one will be good eventually. Right now, it's just not populated enough. It's not giving as much information as the GW2DB.com. It's getting there, but I like the DB one better, the Guild Wars Guru one, because it's a little more polished.
It has pretty colors.
On the yes, on the Guildhead one, they also implement the 3D mapping, so you will be able to bring up items and have them in space as a 3D object. And Guild Wars, the database one is working on that. But you can see here that you got nodes. One of the things that I liked on Wowhead was you could search for ore nodes, and it would give you a map like this and show you everywhere. Looks like the GW2DB.com one is doing the same type of thing. So if you want to know what it takes to craft that item, go to these databases. If you want to know what certain things are like related to, a lot of times you'll get, once these get more populated, you'll say, I need this item, this type of item, and it will tell you what mobs it drops from, and what once they get people that are actually feeding the site with data, because they can run it in the background. So these database sites will help you immensely with figuring out specific items and things, and it's just a repository of everything that's in the game that you can use, you can sell, you can buy, all that stuff. So that's, I think we kind of looked at the power leveling one for the crafting. It's not up right now. He's doing work on it. I think that's it for the links. The one big section that I didn't really go over, and it's actually kind of large, is farming. A lot of people are farming, but we can save that for a later time.
Yeah, I think we're gonna split this into two. I think we're definitely gonna do a part 2 on this, where we talk about all the stuff that we missed.
Yeah, maybe if we get some more people, we can have people giving given other opinions on what they do and what they like. And I'm sure by that time I'll have more actual items like the log trick, the bag trick. One thing I do want to say, there are some Karma vendor recipes out there that will make you money for crafting. There's a leatherworking set. I'm going to give away my best secret right here.
Oh.
There's a leatherworking set that is still making money out there. It's called the Blood Saw set. BLOODSAW. Find it on the database sites on where to get it. There's a Karma vendor who sells the recipes for all 6 pieces of leatherworking gear. It's a level 23 item, and it has been making me between 3 and 5 silver per item, and it's low-level mats. It's easy to make, and that's just pure profit by buying the stuff. There has been some competition, but what happened was everybody does their leatherworking through the discovery panel, and they don't go find these recipes or pick them up. There's recipes for every crafting discipline in the game out there. There's recipes for staves and great swords, and at different levels that you buy for Karma, and it's the only place you can get them. Because you can buy these for Karma and not a lot of people have them, it's an open market it's an open niche that people will buy these items. Low-level alts that are level 20, and the next crafted thing that they can get, they're level 21, the next crafted thing they can get is at level 25, so they're either relying on drops or they're relying on these level 23 items. And I've been able to sell those reliably, especially the chests. For some reason, the chest materials are less than the other pieces, and the chests, probably because it's the most visible item on your character, it's been selling. I could sell 20, 30 in a day, and I was just making some, getting a stockpile every time. I'd carry a stockpile around with me. Every time one would sell, I'd put another one up and sell it. So for the people that are watching this, I think it's in Diesa Plateau, the Karma vendor. I don't know exactly where because I looked it up. I went and did that heart and then left the area after I bought my recipes. And go do some blood saw sets. If you're a leather worker, and I'm sure there are recipes on Karma vendors for every single crafting out there, you should be able to make some profit on each of those. It may not be a high volume, it may not be a lot, but it's something that you can do and have a steady income.
Cool.
So that's my last actual tip.
All right, so what we're going to do here to wrap this up is that we are going to I'm gonna say that we're not going to take questions, and this is why. Okay, so if you watch right now, I'm going to the alttabme.com website. I'm going to the forums. I am going to the front page news. I am going to post new thread. This is going to be called podcast number 15 Q&A. Q&A, how to make money. Now, for all of you that were wondering where the links were, I'm going to be taking those links, ba-boom, like that, and I'm sure Tig is going to make me edit this later, but just so you get the idea. Links used
Actually, that's set up pretty well,
in the podcast. Bam. There they are for you guys that are watching. And then summary of podcast, and I will put some information there later. And then this will be video of podcast coming Wednesday. Ba-boom. And that will go there. And you guys can go ahead, feel free to ask any questions about what we talked about or how to make money from this podcast, or questions or topics you want to hear for the next podcast. So if you go on and head over to alttabme.com, you will now see that thread is up. You can talk to Tig directly. You can talk to me. You can talk to the guild members. It is there. If you go to the news page, it is right loading. It is... Oh, there we go. So it's right on the front page. There you go. Podcast number 15, Q&A, how to make money. So feel free to post any questions you have at alttabme.com. If you want to ask Tig anything, if you did something that didn't make sense, or if you just want the links, feel free to head on over there. Also, I did not miss your cute-ass puppy. I saw it. I was just in the middle of a rant. So it was adorable, and I'm glad he made a little appearance. So
yeah, she likes to hang out on top of the couch sometimes.
So one question I think everybody wants to know is how much money do you have in game?
Right now, I have, I think, 6 gold on my character. I think I might have another gold spread between a couple other characters because I've got crafting professions on each of them, and I try to exploit those crafting professions, like making wood planks on a different character. I know I have over 20 gold in items ready to sell on the trading post right now, but I think over the life of the game so far, I think I've made and lost over 150 gold by trying out different methods, doing things, leveling crafting, buying gear. I just picked up most of my Whispers set and transmuted it onto my gold making set, which I completely bought for money. I know that was close to 15 gold. So I think right now I'm liquid about 6 gold and worth about 20 gold.
Wow. Damn, it feels good to be a gangster. Anyway, that is Tig. He is our special guest for today. I can't point. What? There. Camera's backwards. Thank you, Tig, for coming on. We will definitely have a follow-up according to... We'll see what everybody has to say. Alttabme.com once more. Podcast is live every Monday at 5:15 p.m. Eastern. And you can see the recap of this entire podcast on Wednesday on YouTube. All you have to do is go to alttabme.com. There's a link to the podcast there. So thanks for joining us. And thank you, Tig. Can't point. Thank you, Tig, for joining us. And I'm sure everybody got some good stuff. So we will see you guys next time. Remember to follow the stream. Bye. If you enjoyed it. We do this every Monday, and it will notify you. Anyway, see you guys later. Thanks for watching.